The security guards had her by both arms. When the black SUVs pulled up outside the emergency entrance, Dr. Morrison was mid-sentence. His finger pointed at Nurse Hayes's face when he heard them. Heavy boots. Moving fast through the corridor, she didn't struggle. Didn't explain herself. She just stood there, calm as ever, while the hospital erupted around her. Get your hands off her. Now. The voice came from a man in a dark suit. Behind him, 6 more. All armed, Dr. Morrison's face went white. The guards froze. And Nurse Hayes. She simply straightened her scrubs and waited. Because some secrets don't need explaining, they announce. Themselves *3 hours earlier. The night shift had started like any other dot. Emma Hayes clocked in at 7 p.m. She tied her dark hair back, clipped her badge to her scrubs. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead in the nurse's station. Hayes, you're in the ICU tonight, the charge nurse said without looking up. Understood. Emma didn't argue. She never did. In 6 months at Metropolitan General, she'd built a reputation. Quiet, competent, unremarkable. Exactly. How she wanted it, she moved through the ward checking vitals. Her hands were steady. Her voice was soft. Patient in bed 3 needed his medication adjusted. Patient in bed 7 was showing early signs of sepsis. She documented everything. Triple-checked the dosages. Did her job? Nurse Hayes? Emma turned. Dr. Richard Morrison stood in the doorway, arms crossed. His white coat was pristine. His expression was not, "Yes, doctor. I need you to prep bed 12 for transfer." Emma glanced at her tablet. Bed 12 is critical. His BP is unstable. I didn't ask for your recommendation. The words were sharp, cutting. Dr. Morrison stepped closer. You're a nurse, Hayes, not a doctor. Do your job. Emma met his eyes. Just for a moment, long enough to see the contempt there. Yes, doctor. She turned away. Her jaw was tight, but her hands didn't shake. Because Emma Hayes had faced far worse than Dr. Morrison's ego. She just couldn't tell him that. If you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. The next 2 hours passed in controlled chaos. The ICU was understaffed. Always was. Emma moved between patients like clockwork. Starting IVs. Monitoring machines. Catching problems before they became crises. She was checking on the patient in bed 12 when she heard it. A sound that didn't belong. Shouting, coming from the emergency department. Then screaming. Emma's head snapped toward the door. Her instincts kicked in before her mind could catch up. She moved into the hallway. Other nurses were emerging from their stations. Confused, concerned. What's going on? Someone asked. Emma didn't answer. She was already walking toward the commotion. The smell hit her. First gunpowder. Fresh. Recent, then she saw them. 4 men burst through the emergency entrance. They weren't patients. Their clothes were dark. Their movements were coordinated. And one of them was bleeding from his shoulder. But he was also carrying a gun. Nobody move. They erupted. Patients screamed. Staff scattered. Security was nowhere to be seen. Emma stood perfectly still. 20 feet from the armed men. Her eyes scanned. Exits. Cover points. The number of civilians in the line of fire, 43 people. 12. In immediate danger. The bleeding man swung his weapon toward a family huddled near the triage desk. I said, don't move. Emma's pulse didn't spike. Her breathing didn't change. Because this wasn't her first hostage situation. It was just the first one at Metropolitan General. The leader of the group was tall. Thin face. Wild eyes. He grabbed a nurse by the arm and dragged her forward. Where's the pharmacy? Take us there now. The nurse was sobbing, shaking. She couldn't speak. Emma took 1 step forward. I can take you. Every head turned. The leader's eyes locked on her. What did you say? Emma's voice was calm. Even the same voice she used when a patient's heart stopped. The pharmacy. I can take you there. Let her go. The leader studied her. Emma could see the calculation in his eyes. The paranoia. The desperation. He shoved the other nurse aside. She collapsed to the floor. "You try anything, I won't." Emma walked forward. Slowly, her hands were visible, non-threatening. The leader grabbed her arm. His grip was tight. The gun pressed against her ribs. "Move." Emma moved. She led them down the corridor. Past the labs? Past radiology. The leader's 3 companions flanked them. Weapons drawn. Staff pressed against the walls. Patients watched from doorways, and Emma counted steps. Memorized positions. Assessed threats. Because Nurse Emma, Hayes wasn't just a nurse. She was something else entirely. Something that Dr. Morrison and his security team were about to discover, the hard way. They reached the pharmacy. The heavy door was locked. Reinforced. "Open it," the leader demanded. "I need the key from security." "Then get it." Emma turned, made eye contact with one of the other men. He was younger, nervous. His finger was too tight on the trigger, a liability. "The security office is 2 floors down," Emma said. "Or I can call them." The leader's jaw clenched. He was losing control. Emma could see it. "No calls. We go together." They moved as a group. Down the stairwell. The emergency lights cast shadows on the walls. Emma's mind was working. 3 armed suspects. 1 wounded. All desperate. Probably running from a robbery gone wrong. They needed the pharmacy for the wounded. 1. Antibiotics, pain medication, supplies, which meant they were on a clock. The security office was ahead. Emma could see the door, and she could see something else. Hospital security. For guards. Moving toward them from the opposite corridor, the leader saw them too. "Stop right there." The guards froze. One reached for his radio.
Don't.
The leader raised his weapon, aimed at the nearest guard, and Emma made a decision. The same decision she'd made in Kandahar, in Mosul, in a dozen other places that didn't exist in her personnel file. She moved. Emma's elbow struck. The leader's wrist, fast, precise. The gun clattered to the floor. She dropped low, swept his legs. He went down hard. 2 seconds. Maybe 3. The other armed men reacted. But Emma was already moving. She grabbed the fallen weapon, cleared it, aimed at the nearest threat, weapons down. Now, her voice was different. No longer soft. No longer the gentle nurse who checked vitals and administered medication. This was command. The 3 men stared, confused, frozen. "I won't ask twice." The youngest one dropped his gun. His hands shot up, the other 2 hesitated. Emma's eyes never left them. "Your friend is bleeding out. You have maybe 20 minutes before sepsis sets in. Put the weapons down and I'll make sure he gets treatment."
Ow.
The wounded man was pale, sweating. He nodded frantically to his companions. They lowered their guns. Emma kept hers raised. "Security, collect the weapons. Clear them. Check the safeties." The hospital guards moved forward, slowly. Their faces were white with shock. One of them reached for his radio. "We need police." "Armed suspects in custody?" "No." Emma's word cut through the air like a blade. The guard stopped. "Ma'am, no police." "Not yet." Emma's eyes scanned the corridor. More staff were gathering, watching, phones out. This was about to become a problem. Dr. Morrison pushed through the crowd. His face was red. Angry. "What the hell's going on here?" "Hayes, put that gun down immediately." Emma didn't lower the weapon. "Doctor, I need you to step back. You don't give me orders? You're a nurse?" "Security, restrain her." The guards didn't move. They were staring at Emma, like she was a stranger, because she was. The woman holding that weapon with perfect form wasn't Nurse Hayes, wasn't the quiet, unremarkable ICU nurse who refilled medication carts and documented patient charts. She was someone else. "Dr. Morrison, these men need medical attention. The wounded one requires immediate antibiotics and fluids. I recommend we secure them in an isolated room and treat them before law enforcement arrives." You recommend? Morrison's voice was shrill. You just assaulted 4 men? You're holding a firearm in a hospital? Security, I want her restrained and removed from this facility immediately. 2 guards stepped toward Emma. She didn't move, didn't flinch. I wouldn't do that. Something in her tone stopped them. The lead guard, a man named Torres, had been watching Emma, really watching. The way she held the weapon, the way she'd moved, the precision. Ma'am, Torres said carefully, maybe we should all just take a breath. There's no time for that. Emma handed the weapon to Torres. Grip first, safe. Then she turned to the wounded man, knelt beside him. Her hands moved over his shoulder, checking the wound, professional, clinical, through and through. Missed the artery. You're lucky. She looked up at Morrison. We need to move him now, or you'll have a death in your emergency department. Morrison's face was purple. You don't make those calls? I'm the attending physician, and I'm ordering security to remove you from Richard. Shut up. Everyone turned. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the end of the corridor, Chief of Emergency Medicine. Her eyes were locked on Emma. Get that man into Trauma Bay 3. Now, Hayes, you're with me, Morrison sputtered. Sarah, this woman just... I said now, Richard. Chen's voice carried authority that Morrison's never could. The nursing staff moved immediately. The wounded man was lifted onto a gurney. The other 3 suspects were surrounded by security. Emma stood. Her scrubs had blood on them. Her hair had come loose, but her hands were steady. Dr. Chen gestured toward her office. Walk with me, Nurse Hayes. We need to talk. They moved through the corridor. Staff parted. Whispers followed. Chen's office was small, cramped. She closed the door behind them. Emma remained standing. Chen studied her. That was military CQC, close quarters combat. Textbook disarm and control. Where did you learn that? I've had some training. Chen laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. I've seen Marines who couldn't move like that. Who are you, Emma Hayes? I'm a nurse. You're a liar. The words hung in the air. Emma didn't respond. Chen moved to her desk, pulled up Emma's personnel file on her computer. Emma Hayes. Graduated nursing school 3 years ago. Previous employment at 2 other hospitals. References are solid. Background check came back clean. She looked up. Except I just watched you disarm 4 armed men like you've done it 1,000 times before. So I'll ask again. Who are you? Before Emma could answer, the office door burst open. Torres stood there. His face was ashen. Dr. Chen, we have a problem. What kind of problem? The suspects. They're not just robbery crew. One of them is talking. Says they were hired. Says there's a hit on someone in this hospital. Emma's body went rigid. On who? Chen demanded. Torres's eyes shifted to Emma. On her. The silence was deafening. Chen stood slowly. Explain. Says they were paid to grab a nurse. Emma Hayes. Says she's not who she claims to be. Says there are people who want her dead. Emma's mind was racing, running through possibilities, protocols, exit strategies. She'd been careful. So careful. 6 months of deep cover. No contact with her unit. No slip-ups. Until tonight. Chen was staring at her. Emma, talk to me. I can't. Can't or won't. Both. Torres stepped forward. Ma'am, we need to secure you. If there's a credible threat, there is. The voice came from the hallway. A man in a dark suit entered the office. He was tall, broad-shouldered. His jacket hung in a way that suggested a weapon underneath. He flashed a badge. Federal. Dr. Chen. Officer Torres. I need you both to leave this room now. This is my hospital. It's not your hospital anymore, doctor. As of 3 minutes ago, this facility is under federal jurisdiction. Please step outside. Torres put a hand on Chen's arm. Come on, let's go. They left. The door closed. The federal agent turned to Emma. His expression was unreadable. Major Hayes, you're compromised. Emma's jaw tightened. How long have you known? Since the moment you disarmed those men, you were sloppy. 30 witnesses, all with camera phones. I had no choice. Oh, there's always a choice. He moved to the window, looked out at the parking lot. We're pulling you out. Transport is en route. My mission is over. You've been identified. Intel suggests there are at least 2 more teams converging on this location. We need to move you now. Emma's hands clenched into fists. I was close. Another month, and you'd be dead. He turned to face her. This isn't a debate, Major. We're evacuating you whether you cooperate or not. Emma stared at him, calculating. Outside, she could hear raised voices. Dr. Morrison demanding answers. Demanding that Nurse Hayes be arrested. The agent spoke into his wrist. Package is secure. Prep for extraction. Then the lights went out. The entire hospital plunged into darkness. Emergency generators kicked in. Red emergency lights bathed the office in crimson. The agent's hand went to his weapon. That's not us. Emma moved to the door, pressed her ear against it. Gunfire. Distant, but getting closer. They're already here, she said quietly. The agent swore. Grabbed his radio. All units, we have hostile contact. I repeat, hostile contact. Lock down the building. Lock down now? Emma looked at him. How many men do you have? 6. Plus local police en route. That won't be enough. It'll have to be. More gunfire, screaming, the sound of glass shattering. Emma moved to the desk, pulled open drawers, found what she was looking for. A letter opener, crude but functional. The agent stared at her. What are you doing? My job. Your job is to follow orders. We're getting you out of here. These are my patients. My colleagues. I'm not leaving them. Major Hayes. It's Nurse Hayes. And I'm not going anywhere. She moved to the door, cracked it open. The corridor was chaos. Staff running. Security trying to establish a perimeter. And somewhere in the darkness, trained killers were hunting. Hunting her? Emma Hayes had spent 6 months being invisible. That time was over. Now, she had to be something else. Something the people trying to kill her weren't prepared for? Emma moved low through the corridor. The federal agent followed. Reluctant, but professional. Where are you going? He hissed. I see you. 12 patients. Most of them can't be moved. That's not our priority. Emma stopped, turned. Her eyes were hard. Then what is? Letting innocent people die while we run? The agent's jaw clenched. He knew she was right. They reached the ICU. The door was closed. Emma could hear voices inside, frightened, confused. She pushed through. The night staff were huddled near the nurses' station. 3 nurses. 1 resident. All looking at Emma like she had answers. What's happening? One of them asked. Her name was Lisa Young. 3rd week on the job. Emma kept her voice steady. The hospital is under attack. We need to secure this ward. Attack. By who? It doesn't matter. Lisa, I need you to lock down all the automated medication dispensers. Set them to manual override only. Make sure no one can access them remotely. Why would just do it? Lisa moved. Hands shaking but following orders, Emma turned to the resident. Dr. Park, pull all the crash carts to the center of the ward. Create a barrier between the patient rooms and the main entrance. A barrier? We can't just do it now. Her tone left no room for argument. The federal agent was checking his weapon. I've got 4 agents securing the stairwells. 2 more covering the main entrance. But if this is a professional team, it is. Then we're outnumbered. Emma moved to the supply closet. Started pulling items. Sterile tubing, scalpels, syringes. The agent watched her. What are you doing? Preparing. With medical supplies. Improvisation. Something they taught us in Kabul. She didn't elaborate. The lights flickered. Once, twice, then stabilized. Emma's radio crackled. Torres's voice, strained. All units. We have 3 hostiles on the 2nd floor. Armed, military-grade weapons. They're moving toward the transmission cutoff. Gunfire echoed through the building. Closer now, the nurses gasped. Dr. Park grabbed the desk for support. Emma moved to the center of the room. Her voice cut through the panic. Everyone listen. We don't have time for fear. You're medical professionals. You've trained for emergencies. This is an emergency. We trained for heart attacks, Lisa whispered. Not this. The principle is the same. Assess, adapt, act. Emma pointed to the patient rooms. Check on every patient. Make sure their IVs are secure. Their monitors are functioning. We may need to go dark again. What about the attackers? I'll handle them. The federal agent grabbed her arm. Major, you're not equipped for the door exploded inward. Not from gunfire. From a concussive breach charge, the blast threw everyone back. Emma hit the floor hard. Her ears rang. Smoke filled the room. Through the haze, she saw them. 3 figures. Black, tactical gear. Rifles raised, they moved with precision. Professional. Trained. The lead operator's weapons swept the room. Found Emma. Target acquired. Emma rolled. Behind the nurse's station, a bullet splintered the desk where her head had been. The federal agent returned fire. His pistol cracked. Sharp. Ineffective against body armor. One of the operators turned. Fired a 3-round burst. The agent went down. Emma didn't think. She moved. Grabbed a crash cart. Shoved it forward with all her strength. It slammed into the nearest operator. He stumbled. Emma was on him. She grabbed his rifle. Twisted. Used his own momentum against him. The weapon came free. She fired center mass. The operator dropped. The other 2 operators reacted. But Emma was already moving. Using the crash cart as cover. Firing controlled bursts. She'd done this before. In places that didn't appear on maps. Against enemies that didn't wear uniforms. 1 operator went down. The 3rd dove behind a patient bed. Emma's rifle clicked empty. She dropped it. Grabbed the scalpel from her pocket. The remaining operator emerged. Weapon raised. Emma threw. The scalpel buried itself in the gap between his helmet and vest. The soft tissue of his throat he dropped. Choking silence, Emma stood. Her scrubs were torn. Blood on her hands. Not all of it hers. The nurses stared. Mouths open. Frozen in shock, Dr. Park found his voice first. What? What are you? Emma didn't answer. She moved to the federal agent. Checked his pulse. Weak, but there. Lisa, give me gauze. Compression bandages. Move. Lisa moved. Mechanical. In shock, but following training, Emma worked on the agent. Packing the wound. Stabilizing him. He needs surgery, Dr. Park said quietly. He'll get it. After we secure this floor, Emma stood. Grabbed one of the fallen rifles. Checked the magazine. Half full. She looked at the staff. They were terrified, looking at her like a stranger, because she was. I know you have questions, Emma said, but right now I need you to focus. More will come. We need to fortify this position. Why? Lisa's voice cracked. Why are they here? What do they want? Emma met her eyes. Me. The word hung in the air. Then leave, Dr. Park said. If they want you, go. Lead them away from the patients. I can't do that. Why not? Because the moment I step outside this ward, they'll execute everyone here. No witnesses. The color drained from Park's face. Emma moved to the shattered entrance. Scanned the hallway. Empty, but not for long. Her radio crackled again. A new voice. Deep accented. Major Emma Hayes, former Delta Force, current deep cover operative for Defense Intelligence. Impressive credentials. Emma's blood ran cold. You've caused us quite a bit of trouble tonight. For men in custody, 3 more dead. You're better than we anticipated. Emma grabbed the radio. Who is this? Someone who knows exactly who you are. And what you're protecting? I'm protecting patience. You're protecting a lie. But lies have a way of catching up to us, don't they, Major? Emma's mind raced. How did they know her real rank? Her unit. This wasn't just a hit team. This was targeted, personal. What do you want? She asked. The same thing you want. For this to be over, you come with us quietly. We leave everyone else alive. You resist, and we turn this hospital into a graveyard. Emma looked back at the nurses, at the patients in their beds, helpless, depending on her. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't. But you know what happens if you refuse? You've seen it before, Mosul. The compound breach. You remember what happened when you chose to fight. Emma's hand tightened on the radio. Mosul. The mission that had ended her field career. The one that put her in deep cover. The one where she'd lost her entire team. So what will it be, Major? Do you make the same mistake twice? Or do you finally learn? Emma closed her eyes, breathed. When she opened them, Dr. Park was watching her. Don't, he said quietly. Don't do it. I have to. No, you don't. Park stepped forward. I don't know who you are, what you've done, but I know what I've seen tonight. You protected us, saved us. You don't owe these people anything. I owe you everything. All of you. That's why I have to go. Emma moved toward the door. Lisa grabbed her arm. Wait. Just wait. The police are coming. Help is coming, not fast enough. Emma pulled free, stepped into the hallway. The radio crackled. Smart choice, Major. Come to the main lobby. Alone, unarmed, Emma walked. Each step felt like a mile. The hospital was silent. Bodies of security guards. Federal agents. All dead. This team was thorough, professional, and they wanted her alive, which meant they wanted something worse than death. Emma reached the lobby. The glass entrance doors were shattered. Black SUVs idled outside. A man stood in the center of the room, tall, gray hair, military bearing. Emma recognized him. Colonel Viktor Petrov, Russian GRU, arms dealer, war criminal, and the man who'd ordered the hit on her team in Mosul. Hello, Major Hayes, he said. His English was perfect. We finally meet face to face. Emma's hands clenched into fists. You look surprised, Petrov continued. Did you think we wouldn't find you? Did you think you could hide forever? I wasn't hiding. I was waiting. Petrov smiled. Waiting for what? For you to make a mistake? This. He gestured at the carnage around them. This isn't a mistake. This is a message. You cost me a very lucrative operation. 17 million in lost merchandise. 3 years of planning, gone because of you. Good. Petrov's smile faded. You still have fight in you. I admire that. But it's over. You're coming with me. And you're going to tell me everything about your unit, your operations, your handlers. I'd rather die. Oh, you will. Eventually, but first you'll talk. They always do. Petrov gestured. 2 operators moved forward. Hands reaching for Emma, she didn't resist. Couldn't? Not without getting everyone in the ICU killed? The operators grabbed her arms. And then the front entrance exploded with light. Headlights. Dozens of them. Vehicles screeched to a halt. Doors flew open. But these weren't police cars. These were military convoy vehicles. Humvees. Armored personnel carriers. And from the lead vehicle, a woman emerged. She was in her 50s. Sharp suit. 4 stars on her collar. General Rebecca Morrison, commander of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Emma's direct superior. And Dr. Richard Morrison's older sister. The general walked forward. Her heels clicked on the broken glass. Behind her, an entire platoon of Special Forces operators fanned out, weapons raised. Laser sights painting every one of Petrov's men. Colonel Petrov, the general said. Her voice was ice. You're under arrest for war crimes, arms trafficking, and about 24 other charges I'm honestly too tired to list right now. Petrov's face went white. The general's eyes shifted to Emma, and then, in front of everyone, she saluted. Major Hayes, stand down. We'll take it from here. Emma stood frozen. The salute hung in the air like a THUNDERCLAP. Behind the general, Special Forces operators moved with lethal efficiency. Petrov's men were surrounded, disarmed, forced to their knees within seconds. Petrov himself didn't move. His eyes locked on the general. Rebecca Morrison, he said slowly. I should have known. I should have known a lot of things, Victor. Like the fact that Major Hayes has been bait for the past 6 months. Drawing you out. Tracking your network. Building a case against you that will put you away for the rest of your miserable life. Petrov's jaw clenched. He looked at Emma. Bait. Emma finally found her voice. The hospital posting. The civilian identity. All of it. Designed to make me vulnerable. To make you think you could get to me. You were willing to risk innocent lives for this. The general stepped forward. We had this facility under surveillance from day one. Thermal imaging. Satellite tracking. The moment your team entered the building, we knew. We've been watching. Waiting for you to commit and the casualties. Regrettable. But minimized. The general's expression hardened. Every guard who fell tonight was one of ours. Every federal agent was Daya. We controlled the board, Colonel. You just didn't know you were playing on it. Emma's mind reeled. The federal agent in Dr. Chen's office. The security team. All plants, all part of the operation. She looked at the general. How long? How long what, Major? How long were you planning to let this play out? As long as necessary to ensure a clean capture? The general's eyes softened. Just slightly. I'm sorry, Emma. I know this wasn't easy. But Petrov's network spans 17 countries. We needed him here. Exposed. Committed to the attack. You used me. I used your talents. There's a difference. The general gestured to the soldiers. Secure the prisoners. And someone get medical up here for the casualties. Emma turned. Started walking back toward the ICU. Major Hayes. Out. Didn't turn around. You did good work tonight. The best kind. The kind that saves lives. Emma didn't respond. She just kept walking. Behind her, she heard Petrov being dragged away. His protests. His threats. None of it mattered. She reached the ICU. The doors were still blown open. Smoke lingered in the air. The nurses stood exactly where she'd left them, staring, waiting. Dr. Park spoke first. They're calling you Major. Emma nodded. And that woman. The general. She saluted you. Another nod. Lisa stepped forward. Her face was pale. Who are you, really? Emma took a breath. My name is Emma Hayes. I'm a major in the Defense Intelligence Agency. I've been undercover here for 6 months. Everything else was a lie. The silence was crushing. Dr. Park's voice was quiet. The patients, your work. Was any of that real? All of it. Every shift. Every medication check. Every late night talking families through bad news. That was real, but you weren't really a nurse. I am a nurse. I went to school. Passed my boards. The credentials are legitimate? Ah. Emma met his eyes. I just have another job too, killing people. The words were sharp, accusatory. Emma didn't flinch. Protecting people. Sometimes that requires violence. But yes, I've killed. Many times. Lisa backed away. I can't process this. You don't have to. I'll be gone soon. Reassigned. You'll never see me again. Good. The word stung more than Emma expected. Dr. Park shook his head. Lisa, that's not fair. Not fair? She's been lying to us for 6 months. We trusted her. We worked beside her. And the whole time she was what? A spy? An assassin? A soldier, Emma said quietly. I'm a soldier. Soldiers don't pretend to be nurses. This one did, because it was necessary. Because Petrov had contacts in every major city. Because he was smuggling weapons that were ending up in the hands of terrorists. Because people were dying. Emma's voice remained steady. So yes, I lied. I pretended. I became someone else. And I'd do it again. The general appeared in the doorway. Major Hayes, we need you for debriefing, Emma turned. The patients' need are being transferred to other facilities. This hospital is now a crime scene. Everyone needs to evacuate. Emma looked at the beds. At the monitors still beeping. At the patients sleeping through the chaos or watching with confused, frightened eyes. I need to make sure they're stable for transport. You need to follow orders. Emma's jaw tightened. With respect, General, these people are my responsibility. Your responsibility was to maintain cover and facilitate Petrov's capture, which you did admirably. The general's tone softened. Emma, let the medical staff handle the transfers. That's their job. Your job is done here. Emma knew she was right. But walking away felt wrong. Dr. Park stepped forward. We'll take care of them. The patients. We'll make sure everyone gets transferred safely. Emma met his eyes, looking for judgment, condemnation. Instead, she saw something else. Understanding. Thank you, she said. He nodded. For what it's worth, you were a good nurse. Whatever else you are, you were good at that. Emma felt something tighten in her chest. She followed the general out, into the corridor, past the bodies being bagged. Past the evidence markers and the crime scene photographers, they emerged into the parking lot. Dawn was breaking, pink and orange streaking the sky. A black SUV waited. Door open. The general paused before getting in. Your brother is here, by the way. Emma's head snapped up. What? Dr. Richard Morrison? He's been raising hell for the past hour, demanding to see you. Demanding answers? He doesn't know. About you? No, but he's about to. They drove to a mobile command center. A semi-trailer converted into an operations hub. Inside, screens displayed building schematics, satellite feeds, casualty reports. And in the center of it all stood Dr. Richard Morrison. He looked terrible. His perfect white coat was rumpled, his hair disheveled. When he saw Emma, his face went through several emotions at once. Confusion, anger, relief, he said. What the hell's going on? They won't tell me anything, except that my sister is here, and he stopped. Saw the general. Becky. General Morrison smiled thinly. Hello, Richard. What are you doing here? Why is the military? He looked at Emma. Why is she here? Major Hayes is one of my officers. Richard's face went blank. Major? Richard, meet Major Emma Hayes, Defense Intelligence Agency. One of the best deep cover operatives we have. Richard stared. That's impossible. She's a nurse. I've worked with her for 6 months. She's just a what? The general asked. Her tone had an edge to it. Richard's mouth opened, closed. Emma watched him process. Watched his worldview crack and reform. The way you talked to her, the general continued. The way you dismissed her, belittled her. Do you remember, Richard? She was maintaining a cover, playing a role, and you bought it completely, because you saw what you expected to see.
I nurse.
Someone beneath you. Richard's face flushed red. I didn't. I mean, you did repeatedly. I've read the reports. The complaints filed by other staff about your treatment of nurses, of junior doctors, of anyone you consider inferior. Becky, that's not fair. It's General Morrison to you right now, Richard. And fair? You want to talk about fair? This woman has more combat decorations than most generals. She's saved more lives in war zones than you'll see in your entire career. And you treated her like she was incompetent? Emma shifted uncomfortably. General, that's not necessary. Oh, I think it is. The general turned to Richard. Major Hayes was doing critical work. Work that required her to be invisible, unremarkable. And you helped with that by being exactly who you are. So thank you, Richard. Your arrogance was actually useful for once. Richard looked like he'd been slapped. Emma stepped forward. Dr. Morrison, I apologize for the deception. It wasn't personal. It wasn't personal. His voice cracked. You lied to me. To everyone. You put the entire hospital at risk. The hospital was always at risk, the general interrupted. Petrov had operatives in this city for months. We chose this facility because it gave us the best chance to control the situation. To minimize casualties, Major Hayes volunteered for this assignment, knowing the risks. Volunteered, Richard laughed, bitter. Of course you did. Playing hero. That's enough, the general snapped. But Emma raised a hand. No, he's right to be angry. Let him speak. Richard looked at her. Really looked at her. Who are you really? Emma took a breath. I'm someone who's been fighting a war most people don't know exists. Against people who traffic weapons to terrorists. Who profit from suffering. I'm someone who's seen things I can't talk about. Done things I can't take back. I'm also someone who genuinely cared about the patients on that ward. Who took pride in the work. Even if it was part of a larger mission, it mattered to me. How am I supposed to believe that? You're not. You don't have to. But it's the truth. Richard shook his head. Started to leave. Stopped at the door. For what it's worth, he said without turning around, you were a better nurse than you needed to be. If it was just cover, you could have been mediocre. But you weren't. You cared. The general watched him go. He'll process eventually. Probably write a memoir about the time his nurse was secretly a spy. Emma almost smiled. He'd make himself the hero of that story, undoubtedly. The general moved to one of the screens. We have Petrov. His entire cell. 17 arrests. Across 4 countries happening simultaneously. This network is done. What about the weapons? The shipment's already in transit? Being intercepted as we speak. This operation has been years in the making, Emma. Tonight was just the final move. Emma felt the weight of it. The months of pretending. The isolation. The constant danger. It was over. What happens now? She asked. The general looked at her. Now. You rest. Debrief. And then we discuss your next assignment. I'm not sure I have another one in me. You say that every time. And every time, you find a way to keep going. The general's expression softened. You're one of the best, Emma. The work you do saves lives. Changes outcomes matters. I know. But sometimes I wonder at what cost. The cost of normalcy. Relationships. A life that doesn't involve lying to everyone around you. The general nodded. I know it's hard. But this is who you are. This is what you chose. Emma didn't respond. Because the general was right. This was what she'd chosen. And deep down, she knew she'd choose it again. The debriefing took 14 hours. Emma sat in a windowless room, answering questions. Walking through every moment of the operation. Every interaction with Petrov's team. Every decision she'd made. The interrogators were thorough. Professional. Looking for gaps. Inconsistencies. They found none. When they finally released her, the sun was setting again. A full day had passed. Emma walked out of the command center. Her body ached. Her mind was numb. A car waited. Not military. Not federal. Just a regular sedan. Dr. Sarah Chen sat in the driver's seat. Emma stopped. What are you doing here? Giving you a ride. Get in. Emma hesitated. Then climbed into the passenger seat. They drove in silence for several minutes. They told me, Chen finally said. Who you are. What you were doing, I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Chen glanced over. I've been an ER doctor for 20 years. I thought I'd seen everything. But a spy? Actually working in my hospital? Deep cover operative. There's a difference, is there? Emma didn't have an answer. Chen pulled into a parking lot. They were at a small diner. The kind that served breakfast 24 hours a day. Come on, Chen said. You need to eat. Inside the diner was almost empty. Just a few late shift workers. A couple of truckers. They slid into a booth. Ordered coffee. Pancakes. Lisa quit, Chen said, after the waitress left. Emma's chest tightened.
When this morning?
Said she couldn't work at a hospital that had harbored a Well, she used some colorful language. But the gist was, she doesn't trust the administration anymore. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. Chen stirred her coffee. She's young. Scared. She'll process it eventually. Or she won't. Either way, it's not your fault, isn't it? You were doing a job. A dangerous one. One that apparently saved thousands of lives if the reports are accurate. Emma stared at her coffee. Doesn't make it easier? No. I imagine it doesn't. Chen leaned back. For what it's worth, you were good. Really good. I've supervised hundreds of nurses. You were in the top tier. I had training. I'm not talking about technical skills. I'm talking about empathy, connection, the way you talk to patients, made them feel safe. Chen paused. Was that part of the act? No. The word came out firm. Certain. That was real. The only real thing in that entire 6 months. Jen nodded slowly. I believe you. They ate in silence. The pancakes were mediocre. The coffee was terrible. It was perfect. What happens to the hospital? Emma asked. We reopen in 3 days. After the crime scene processing is done, after we repair the damage, after we explain to the media that it was a targeted attack and not a random act of violence, and the patients from the ICU, all stable, all transferred successfully. No additional casualties. Chen smiled slightly. Dr. Park personally oversaw every transfer, made sure every patient was accounted for. He takes his responsibility seriously. He's a good doctor.
Yes.
He also asked about you. Wanted to know if you were okay? Emma looked up. What did you tell him? That you were fine. That you were exactly where you needed to be. Chun's expression grew serious. Was I right? Emma thought about it. About the debriefing? The general's words. The next assignment waiting somewhere in the future. I don't know, she admitted. They finished eating. Chen paid, insisted. Outside the night air was cool, clean. Where do you go from here? Chen asked. Wherever they send me, whoever they need me to be next. That doesn't sound like much of a life. It's the life I chose. Chen studied her. You know what I think? I think you're running. Emma stiffened. From what? From having to be yourself? From real connections? Real relationships. Chen's voice was gentle. It's easier to be someone else. To play a role. Because if people don't like the role, it doesn't hurt. It's not really you they're rejecting. The words hit harder than Emma expected. I'm not running. Then what are you doing? My job. Protecting people. Making a difference at the cost of everything else. Chen handed Emma a business card. When you're done running, give me a call. We always need good nurses. Real ones. Not undercover operatives. Emma took the card. Didn't promise anything. Chen drove her to a safe house. A small apartment in a quiet neighborhood. This is where you're staying? Until my next assignment? Chen looked at the building. Plain. Forgettable. Seems fitting, she said. Not unkind. Emma got out. Started to close the door. Emma, she turned. Thank you. For what you did? For protecting my hospital? My staff. Even if it was part of a larger mission, you still put yourself between us and danger. That matters, Emma nodded. Couldn't find words. She watched Chen drive away. Then went inside. The apartment was sparse, functional, a bed, a table, a chair. Everything she needed, nothing she wanted. Emma sat on the bed, stared at the wall. Her phone buzzed. A message from the general. Debrief. Complete. Excellent work. Take 72 hours, rest, recover, then report for new assignment briefing. 3 days to be herself. Emma looked around the empty apartment. Who was she when she wasn't playing a role? She didn't know anymore. The next morning, Emma woke early. Habit. 6 months of hospital shifts had reset her internal clock. She made coffee, sat at the window, watched the city wake up. Normal people doing normal things. Going to work. Walking dogs. Living lives that didn't involve lies and cover identities. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello? Major Hayes. This is Officer Torres. From the hospital. And Emma sat up straighter. Is everything okay? Yeah. Everything's fine. I wanted to call. To say thank you. For what? For saving my life? When those operators breached the ICU, you could have left us. Could have focused on your mission, but you didn't. You stayed. Fought, protected us. Emma's throat tightened. I was just doing my job. Maybe, but it was more than that. I've been in security for 15 years. I know the difference between someone following protocols and someone who actually cares. I also wanted to apologize. For what? For not seeing you. For treating you like you were just, I don't know, background noise? Another nurse. I should have looked closer. You weren't supposed to see me. That was the point. Still, you deserved better. Torres cleared his throat. Anyway, I just wanted you to know. What you did mattered. To me, to everyone who was there. Thank you, Officer Torres. Call me Miguel. Emma smiled. First time in days. Thank you, Miguel. After they hung up, Emma sat with the feeling. Connection. Real. Unplanned. Maybe Chen was right. Maybe she was running. But from what? And toward what? The next call came an hour later. Dr. Park. I got your number from Dr. Chen, he said. I hope that's okay. It's fine. I wanted to check in. See how you were doing? I'm fine. That's what people say when they're not fine. Emma almost laughed. Are you psychoanalyzing me, doctor? Just being observant. Hazard of the profession. He paused. Look, I know what you did. What you are. And I know I reacted badly in the moment. But I've had time to think. To process. And I understand why you did it. The lying. The cover. You were protecting people. Including us. Even though we didn't know it. Emma didn't respond. I also wanted to say, the way you worked. The care you showed patients. That wasn't fake. I watched you. Night after night. You could have gone through the motions. But you didn't. You connected with people. Made them feel seen. It was part of maintaining the cover. Because I think it was more than that. I think that's who you are. Underneath everything else. Emma felt something crack inside. Just slightly. I don't know who I am anymore, she admitted. Then maybe it's time to find out. Not as a spy. Not as a soldier. Just as Emma. Talked for another 20 minutes. About the hospital. About the patients. About everything except the attack. When they hung up, Emma felt lighter. Just a little. The third day, Emma went for a walk. No destination. Just movement. She ended up at the hospital. It looked different in daylight. Normal. The broken glass had been replaced. The blood cleaned up. Like nothing had happened. Emma stood across the street watching. Staff went in and out. Patients arrived. Families visited. Life continued. She saw Lisa, the young nurse. Leaving through the front entrance, Emma almost called out. Almost crossed the street. But Lisa's face was hard. Closed off. She hadn't forgiven Emma. Maybe never would. Emma let her go. Then she saw Dr. Park. He was talking to a patient's family, gesturing, explaining. He looked up. Saw Emma across the street. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then he smiled. Waved. Emma waved back. It was something small, but real. She turned away. Started walking back to the safe house. Her 72 hours were almost up. Tomorrow she'd report for the new assignment briefing. Become someone else. Go somewhere new. But tonight, she was just Emma. And maybe for now, that was enough. Back at the apartment, Emma found a package waiting. No return address. Inside was a framed photo. From the hospital, the ICU staff. Taken months ago at some holiday party Emma had attended. She was in the back row, smiling, looking ordinary, looking happy. A note was tucked inside. Dr. Chen's handwriting. For when you forget who you were. Who you still are. The offer stands. Always. Sarah Emma set the photo on the table. Stared at it. In that photo, she wasn't Major Hayes, wasn't a deep cover operative. She was just Emma, a nurse. Part of a team? Real. She picked up her phone. Stared at Chen's business card. Not yet, she wasn't ready. But maybe someday. Emma lay down, closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring new lies, new identities, new missions. But tonight, for the first time in 6 months, she slept as herself. And that was worth something. Even if it couldn't last. The briefing room was cold, sterile. Emma sat alone, waiting. She'd been back in uniform for the first time in months. Dark suit, crisp, professional. It felt wrong. Like wearing someone else's skin. The door opened. General Morrison entered. Behind her, 2 other officers. Both colonels, they sat across from Emma. Major Hayes, the general began. Your performance in Operation Silent Shield exceeded all expectations. The intelligence gathered, the arrests made, and the weapons seized represent a significant victory against international arms trafficking. Thank you. May. However, the general's tone shifted. Your debriefing raised some concerns. Emma's spine straightened. Concerns. One of the colonels spoke. His name tag read Mitchell. Your emotional attachment to the cover identity. The reluctance to disengage from civilian personnel. The hesitation during extraction was ensuring patient safety. You were prioritizing civilians over mission objectives. The mission objectives included minimizing civilian casualties. Within acceptable parameters? Yes. But you exceeded those parameters. Took unnecessary risks. Mitchell leaned forward. You've been in deep cover for 6 months. That's a long time to maintain a false identity. Sometimes operatives begin to lose sight of who they really are. Emma's hands clenched under the table. I know exactly who I am, do you? The general asked. Not unkind. Just direct. The question hung in the air. Emma didn't answer. The other Colonel Rodriguez opened a file. Your psychological evaluation flags several areas of concern. Decreased emotional distance from cover identity. Increased empathy towards civilian contacts. Reluctance to discuss future assignments. I completed the mission successfully. You did? But at what cost to yourself? Rodriguez looked up. Major, you've been in continuous operational status for 4 years. Multiple deep cover assignments. Multiple identities. When was the last time you took leave? Real leave? Emma thought about it. Couldn't remember. That's what I thought, Rodriguez said. General, I recommend mandatory psychological rehabilitation. Minimum 6 months. Full psychiatric evaluation before any new assignment. Emma's stomach dropped. You're benching me. We're protecting you, the general corrected. From burnout. From losing yourself in the work. From making mistakes that could get you killed. I don't need protection. I need to work. Why? The general asked. What are you running from, Emma? The same question Chen had asked. Emma stood. Permission to speak freely, ma'am. Granted. I'm not running from anything. I'm good at this work. Better than good. You said so yourself. The mission was a success. Petrov is in custody. His network is dismantled. I did exactly what you asked. You did. But you also formed genuine connections with civilians. Connections that could compromise future operations. Those connections made the cover stronger. More believable. Or they made you more vulnerable. The general stood as well. Emma, you're one of my best officers. That's exactly why I'm making this call. You need time, distance, perspective. I need to work. No. You need to remember who you are when you're not pretending to be someone else. The general's voice softened. I've seen good operatives burn out. Seen them lose themselves in the covers. Forget what they're fighting for. I won't let that happen to you. Emma felt the fight drain out of her. How long? 6 months minimum. Full psychological evaluation. Complete medical clearance. And then we'll discuss next assignments. And if I refuse, then I'll make it in order. Don't make me do that, Emma. Emma sat back down. Defeated, the colonels left. The general remained. I know this feels like punishment, she said, but it's not. It's preservation. You're too valuable to lose. I don't know how to just stop. Then learn. Take classes, travel, see a therapist. Reconnect with family. Do all the things you've been avoiding for 4 years? My family doesn't know what I do. Maybe it's time they did. At least the parts you can share. The general moved toward the door, paused. Dr. Chen called me. Said you have an open offer to return to nursing. Real nursing. Not cover work. Emma's head snapped up. She what? She's concerned about you. So am I. The general smiled slightly. Take the 6 months, Emma. Figure out who you are when you're not saving the world. You might surprise yourself. She left Dotama sat alone in the briefing room. 6 months. No missions. No lies. Just herself. The thought terrified her. Emma spent the first week in the safe house, alone, watching TV, reading. Trying to relax, she was terrible at it. Her mind kept circling back. To the hospital. To the patients. To the staff who thought they knew her. On day 8, she called Dr. Chen. Emma, I was wondering when you'd call. You contacted my commanding officer. I did. I was worried about you. You had no right. I had every right. As your friend. The word stopped Emma cold. We're not friends, aren't we? We had breakfast. We talked. We connected. That's what friends do. Chun's voice was gentle. Emma, you saved lives at my hospital. You protected my staff. You earned my respect and my concern. So yes, we're friends. Whether you like it or not. Emma felt her eyes sting. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Have friends. Have a life. Be normal. Then learn. Come back to the hospital. Not as a spy. As a nurse. Work some shifts. Remember why you chose this profession in the first place. They won't want me there. After what happened, some won't. Lisa certainly won't. But others will. Dr. Park has been asking about you. Torres too. And honestly, we're short-staffed. We could use a good nurse. Emma closed her eyes. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. The offer expires when I retire, which could be any day now, given my stress levels. Okay. Emma almost smiled. Thank you, Sarah. That's what friends do. 2 weeks later, Emma walked back into Metropolitan General, not in uniform. Not on a mission, just as a nurse. The orientation was awkward. Staff whispered, stared. Some avoided her entirely. Lisa transferred to a different floor. Wouldn't even make eye contact. Emma didn't blame her, but Dr. Park welcomed her back. Shook her hand. Introduced her to the new residents. Torres stopped by during his rounds. Gave her a nod of respect. Dr. Chen assigned her to the ICU. Different shift. Different patients, but the same work. Emma's. First patient was an elderly man. Post-op recovering. From cardiac surgery, he was frightened. Confused. Anesthesia was wearing off and he didn't know. Where he was, Emma sat beside him. Held his hand. Explained everything in simple terms. His wife arrived. Crying with relief, thanking Emma over and over, and Emma felt it. The connection. The purpose, not because it was cover. Not because it served a mission, but because it mattered. Because she was helping someone in their most vulnerable moment. She worked that shift. And the next. And the next, slowly, the whispers died down. The staff got used to her presence. She was just Emma, a nurse. Nothing more, nothing less. 3 months in, Dr. Park invited her to coffee. They sat in the hospital cafeteria, the same place Emma had eaten lunch during her undercover assignment. You're settling in, he observed, trying to. How does it feel? Being yourself instead of playing a role. Emma thought about it. Strange. Good. Terrifying, that's honest. I'm trying to be more honest. Park smiled. I've noticed. You're more present. More connected. Whatever walls you had up before, they're coming down. Is that good? I think so. But only you can decide that. They talked about work. About patience. About the small dramas of hospital life. Normal conversation. Normal connection. It felt good. 4 months in, Emma started seeing a therapist. Not because the general ordered it, but because she wanted to. The sessions were hard, painful, excavating years of buried emotions, but necessary. You've built your entire identity around service, the therapist said, around being what others need. Who are you when you're not serving? Emma didn't have an answer yet, but she was starting to look for one. 5 months in, Emma went to visit her family. She hadn't seen them in 3 years. Too busy with missions. With covers, with lies, her mother cried when she opened the door. Her father stood back unsure. They didn't know what she did. Only that it was classified. Dangerous, Emma told them what she could. About the hospital. About helping people. About trying to find balance. They listened. Asked questions. Tried to understand it wasn't perfect. But it was real. 6 months in, Emma sat in the general's office again. Your evaluation came back, the general said. You're cleared for operational duty. Emma nodded. Thank you, ma'am. I have 3 assignments available. All deep cover. All high priority. The general slid a file across the desk. Take your pick. Emma looked at the file. Didn't open it? Or, she asked. The general raised an eyebrow. Or, you said I had options. What else is there? You could stay where you are. Continue nursing. Live a normal life. The general leaned back. But that's not who you are, Emma. You're a soldier. An operative. The best I have. Maybe, but I'm also a nurse. A daughter. A friend. Maybe even a person. Emma pushed the file back. I'm not ready to give that up, even if it means walking away from this career. Even then, the general studied her. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then she smiled. You know what? Good. That's the right answer. Emma blinked. Ma'am? I was testing you to see if you'd learned anything in the past 6 months. If you'd just jumped back into operational status without thinking. The general opened a different file. I have another option. Consulting work. Training new operatives. Using your experience without the full commitment of field work, you'd maintain your rank, your clearance. But you'd have a life too. Emma's heart raced. Is that even possible? For someone with your record? Yes, we need instructors. People who've been there, done it, survived it. You could teach others how to maintain balance, how to stay human while doing inhuman work. Emma looked at the file, at the possibility of both lives, not separate, not competing, integrated. I'd like that, she said quietly. Then it's yours. The general stood, extended her hand. Welcome to your new assignment, Major Hayes. Emma shook it. Firm, certain. For the first time in years, she knew exactly who she was and exactly where she belonged. Emma continued working at Metropolitan General. 3 shifts a week. The other days were spent at Langley, training operatives, teaching them what she'd learned: how to maintain cover without losing yourself, how to connect without becoming vulnerable, how to serve without sacrificing everything. Dr. Chen became a real friend. They had dinner once a week, talked about life, work, everything. Dr. Park asked her out. After months of dancing around it, she said yes. It was awkward at first. Dating while being partially yourself and partially classified, but they made it work. Torres became her gym partner. They sparred, traded techniques, built trust. Even Lisa eventually came around. Not forgiveness, but acceptance. An awkward nod in the hallway. A brief conversation at the nurse's station. Progress 1 year after the attack. The hospital held a memorial service for the security guards who died. The federal agents, the civilians caught in the crossfire. Emma attended. In uniform, with her medals displayed, staff who'd whispered about her stared openly. Not with suspicion now, but with respect. Dr. Morrison was there. He approached Emma after the ceremony. "I owe you an apology," he said. "You already apologized." "No, my sister forced me to apologize. This is different." He looked uncomfortable. "I was wrong about you. About nurses in general. I've been working on that. Trying to be better." Emma nodded. "Thank you for what?" "For trying. That's all any of us can do." He left. Still awkward. Still arrogant. But trying it was enough. Emma stood in the memorial garden, looking at the names carved in stone. People who died because of her mission. Her choices, she'd carry that weight forever. But she'd also carry the knowledge of those who'd lived, who'd been saved, who'd gone home to their families because she'd been there. The balance was delicate, painful, necessary. Emma, she turned. General Morrison stood there. Out of uniform. Just a woman paying respects, General. "Rebecca, we're off duty." She moved to stand beside Emma. "How are you doing?" "Good. Really good. I can see that. You look different. Lighter. I feel different." Emma paused. "Thank you for forcing me to take the time. I didn't think I needed it, but you did." "I did." They stood in silence. Watching families place flowers. Watching the sunset paint the sky. "Do you ever regret it?" Emma asked. "The career, the sacrifices, every day." "And never," Becca smiled. "It's complicated. Being a soldier, being a woman, being human, but the work matters. What we do matters, even when it costs us. How do you balance it?" "Imperfectly, constantly, one day at a time." Rebecca looked at her. "But you're doing it. Finding your own balance, your own path. I'm proud of you." Emma felt tears sting her eyes. "Thank you." Becca squeezed her shoulder. Then left on Emma stayed, watching the sun disappear. Watching the stars emerge, she thought about the woman she'd been. The soldier, the operative, the ghost, and the woman she was becoming. The nurse, the instructor, the friend. Both were real. Both were her, and maybe that was okay. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Park. "Still on for dinner? There's a new restaurant I want to try. Unless you're too busy saving the world." Emma smiled. Typed back, "Never too busy for dinner. See you at 7." She pocketed her phone. Took one last look at the memorial, then she walked away. Toward her car. Toward dinner. Toward a life that was messy and complicated and beautifully, impossibly real. Emma Hayes was a soldier, an operative, a nurse, a friend. She was all of it. None of it. Something in between. But most importantly, she was herself. And after years of being everyone else, that was enough. The city lights flickered on as she drove. The hospital faded in her rearview mirror. Tomorrow, she'd be back. Checking vitals. Starting IVS. Training operatives. Living both lives. But tonight, she was just Emma. Going to dinner with someone who knew her. Really knew her. And cared anyway. The silent badge she carried would always be there. Hidden, heavy, necessary. But it wasn't all she was anymore. And that made all the difference. As Emma pulled into the parking lot, she saw him, Dr. Park, waiting by the restaurant entrance. He waved. She waved back. And for the first time in years, Emma Hayes walked toward someone without pretending, without lying, without being anyone but herself. It was terrifying. It was perfect. It was home.